Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Partida with Home Again LA, and tonight we have our guest speaker here, Maria Diamond. She's a financial fitness coach, and I'll go ahead and have her take over the rest.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Yes, my company is called Financial Fitness. And the reason I came up with that name is because I started in the health club business at a very young age, and that was about physical fitness and staying in shape. And I thought, well, how do I transition into the financial side? Well, physical fitness and financial fitness have a lot in common. And that commonality is you have to take action with both. As we know, you can't sit around and think about getting in shape. I know we do that sometimes and we don't really want to go to the gym, but thinking about it and doing it are two completely different things. So same thing with finances. I think I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I know people have really good intentions, but their intentions and their actions are not the same. So I'm here to educate and motivate you to do something regardless of where you are, because everyone is at a different place in their life. So I love this expression, the only person that will take care of your older self is your younger self. And isn't that the truth? So I get a lot asked quite often, how much money do you think I'll need when I retire, Maria? That is a big and a good question, except that my crystal ball was foggy, so I can't really see the future. And it's a very individual thing, very individual. And given the medicine we have today and the things that keep us living longer, living to 95, 100 is not beyond our reach. And guess what? That means it's going to take a lot of money. So the longer we live, the better we have to budget. So what is your plan for retirement? So these questions are generic, of course, but as I go through them, and please interrupt me if you have questions, think about what is your plan. And you're young, yeah, it doesn't matter our age. We could be 20, we could be 50. Wherever you are, you start where you are. But not everybody has a plan. And I don't think people plan to fail, they just fail to plan. I'm a Medicare agent. I have been helping people with their health insurance, of course, 65 and over. And I meet a lot of people that have made some great decisions and their plan is excellent for retirement. And I've met others, and I hate to say the majority of the others, 60% have not planned, and they try to live on their Social Security income. And that's very, very difficult because every year it gets tougher. So while you're young, what is your plan? So you start by defining yourself and your goals. Now, a lot of people don't have goals. Well, I don't know, what should my goal be? You know, I mean, I'm sure in the back of our minds somewhere we think about things like this, but it's defined by you, not your neighbor, not your sister, not your cousin. What do you want out of life? Because if you don't have a defined goal, then you'll end up wherever, right? So there's really, there's a lot of people, you probably have heard this, you know, there are risk takers, there's investors, and there are savers. I've met all types. So risk taker is someone that's willing to just roll the dice. Roll the dice, let's go to Vegas, let's see what happens. Not Lisa, it's not you, right? Me neither, Lisa, I'm more like the third one. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's just who they are. And an investor is willing to take calculated risk for the long-term potential growth, but with an age appropriate, whatever that means. That means it depends on how old you are. And if you're 65 and you put all your money in the market and you retire and the market goes south the day before you retire, it's not going to be that great. And a saver doesn't take any risks. So satisfied with very slow, moderate growth, steady as they go. And believe it or not, these are the people that I have met that are the most successful. They really are, because they've learned to save $1 at a time. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but boy, does it add up, especially with compound interest. So let's go back and think about what your retirement means to you. So as I say this in your mind, Lisa, and the lady on the other young lady, think about this, what does retirement mean to you? Does it mean, oh, I'm a mama bear, I want to hang out with my grandchildren, or I want to travel the world because I've been working 9 to 5 for 40 years, or I want to do crafts because I'm so artistic and I have no time while I'm working. Whatever it is, what is yours? Now, there's also things to consider as you plan your retirement on how to protect your retirement assets, how to convert your lump sum retirement and turn it into an income stream. My favorite expression is, when you retire, where will you get a paycheck when you are no longer getting a paycheck? Social Security may be there, it may not be there, I don't know. It's nice if it is, it's a little extra, but you need a paycheck. When you stop working, where will it come from? Will I need to use all of my retirement assets for extended care for me or my spouse? In other words, if you might have family or moms or grandmothers that have needed extended care. Well, I think we all know someone that might have needed some kind of care, whether it's in the home or an assisted care place, it could be anywhere. So there's 3 buckets of money: the short-term, medium-term, and the rest of your life bucket. So short-term means, and I know this is difficult. I mean, life is expensive, but most people don't have an emergency plan. If something happens, what are they going to do? Hopefully they have a credit card. That's where it goes. But what if they don't have a credit card, or if the credit card is maxed out? Because today in our environment, it seems like our money is shrinking. You could put it in growth tax deferred retire. Tax deferred is just meaning like an IRA, 401k, pre-tax dollars that you could put away. And the rest of your life bucket is money you probably won't spend in your lifetime, which is a good place to be, and you pass it on. Other than those 3 things, spend it, save it, or pass it on, can you think of anything else at all that you could do with your money? That kind of encompasses everything, right? You could spend it now, you could save it for later, you could give it to your heirs when you pass away. So what is your plan? It always goes back to that, doesn't it? Back to the basics. What is your plan? If nothing else, if you walk away with one thing from me today, maybe just think about, well, what is my plan? And maybe you have one, and maybe it's wonderful, or maybe you need to tweak it. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why this one found its way in there twice. Okay. So what do your retirement assets mean to you? What do retirement assets mean? I mean, a lot of people retire with a pension. Well, let me take that back. Fewer people retire with a pension today. More people work, but retirement assets are things like you've invested in, like, your 401k, or you have a bank account, you have an IRA, independent retirement account. What do they mean to you? Are you qualified IRA accounts protected? IRA means independent retirement account. Are they protected? Protected from what? What does that mean? Basically, what it means is protection from the volatility of the stock market. Stock market goes up and down and sideways, and it's okay, but it's not solid. So you need a little diversification, right? And then, do you have a plan for extended care, which I touched on a little bit earlier? When I started in this business, believe it or not, the first product I ever learned about was long-term care, and I sold it for 5 years exclusively. And oh boy, the stories I heard. It wasn't always pleasant, but they were real. And people, it seems like this is the biggest gap, the biggest hole in a retirement plan that I see is this: not planning for extended care. And then people get there and they go, oh no. And the biggest reason people never really looked into it, it's really interesting because it's all psychological. It was denial. Not going to happen to me. Okay, all right. So 2 out of 3 women, 1 out of 3 men will need some kind of extended care over the age of 65. Those are real numbers. So when I would bring that up to someone, they would say, oh yeah, but I'm that one it's not going to happen to. Amazing. And it's kind of like life, right? You probably say, it's not going to happen to me. Otherwise, we'd never take any risks. But it was pretty interesting. So there's two types of assets: risk capital meaning exposure to volatility, and retirement savings. That's a grouping of investments that exhibit characteristics that are subject to the same blah, 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 whatever. That sounds a little bit complicated, but basically they're any kind of assets that you own. Here are the risks that you could face in retirement: market risk, inflation, as we've seen all over the place, sequence of returns. I'm going to go back to that in a moment. Extended care, that's we talked about a bit. Taxes always go up. Living too long. You got to take these risks off the table. Living too long, believe it or not, is one of the risks. Why? Because you have to fund your life until you're 110. Thank goodness. That would be a wonderful thing, right? People living too long. And then the black swan. And that's something that could come out of the woodwork that you'd never thought would happen. And here it is. So sequence of returns is interesting. It just means that when you start taking money out for your retirement, the market could start trending downwards. And if you keep taking money out and the market keeps going down, that's not a good match, because you'll deplete your life savings much, much quicker. So this happened to a friend of mine, actually. He was 65, and he was getting ready to retire, had at least $500,000 in the bank. He said, I'll be fine with 5%. I'll take 5% out per year. It'll supplement my Social Security, and he has a little pension. And guess what? 08 and 09 hit. No, not 08. I'm so sorry. This is more like recent, 2 years ago, when the market was down. And he went back to work. He lost half of his portfolio. This is a personal friend of mine. He went back to work. And fortunately, he can go back to work, because a lot of people at 65, they're gone. They're invited to leave, right? They're like, wait, we could hire 2 people in their 30s to do the job you're doing for half the salary. So they're not going to keep you around. He was fortunate enough to go back to work. So that's what sequence of returns means. When you're taking your money out, you better time it perfectly if your money is not guaranteed. Hope that made sense. Is everybody okay so far? Do you have any questions, Lisa?
I actually wanted to know a little bit more in regards to the life-term care. Do you have, I guess I just wanted to know a little bit more, like how those accounts work, or like what the requirements are for you to obtain an account of long-term.
Sure. Well, it's a policy. It's a
policy,
long-term care policy written by a life insurance company, and you purchase it based on your age. You're young. Are you thinking about it for your family or your parents?
Just thinking about it in general.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you're very young. And, usually people start looking at 50, 55. It's never too early, if you ask me, because the younger you are, the less expensive it's going to be, right? The premium, and you have to qualify medically. So the premium is based on your age and how big the policy is. So for instance, I'll give you an example. It could be, let's say, $3,000 a year or $4,000 a year, and you pay that every year. But now, until you might need the care when you're 85, right? But there's other products now that that don't involve long-term care, but they have it like a rider. For instance, life insurance with a rider where you could accelerate the money, and it's probably a better product, because the biggest question I would get asked was, well, what if I never use it? Well, I don't know. Do you have a car insurance so you won't have an accident? If you don't have an accident, do they give you a check at the end of the year? No. It's just in case, right? But long-term care is pretty unique. So there's other products that you could do, like build it into your life insurance product or something like that. There's some excellent products out there you could do that with. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure. Okay. So risks, which ones matter to you most? Which can you minimize or avoid them? Does your current plan account for them? Well, it depends what our current plan is. And it depends on what risks we're taking. right? Everyone is an individual. And this is general information, by the way. When I meet with people one-on-one, then it's a whole difference. Then we uncover a lot more. But these are basic questions to ask you. What is important to you? So our philosophy, we believe there are unique differences between accumulation and phase and the life distribution phase. Do you know what that do you know what that means, Lisa? I guess I know. So accumulation is when we acquire money, when we save, we're accumulating our future. Distribution, and here's a good example of explaining it, when like mountain climbers, you go to climb a mountain. Believe it or not, climbing the mountain is the easy part. You have those Sherpas, like in India, they go up the mountain with you because they know the terrain and they'll help you. Coming down the mountain is the most dangerous. And that's where a lot of people die because they can't make it. They slip, they're tired. So distribution is when you're coming down the mountain. So if you've accumulated a nice sum of money and you're ready to retire, now you've got to start taking the money out. And you really have to make sure it's protected, it's laid out properly, and there's a proper balance in your retirement. Did that make sense?
Yes,
Yes.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because accumulation is the fun part. Well, now what do we do with it? Remember earlier I said, are you going to have a paycheck when you retire? That's the paycheck, the distribution part. Okay. So you got to find a proper balance. Growth is important. You want to grow your money as much as you can, but safety is important too. So somewhere in the middle, you've got to find out what works for you and your family and what your needs are. So the three focus areas: minimizing risk and preserving your assets, maximizing income by utilizing tax-free income planning, and protecting your estate by planning for orderly, timely, okay. This number 3, put in English, is a living trust. In California, the law says if you have assets over $180,000 and property, all assets, you must have a living trust. If you don't, everything will revert to probate. Do you know what probate is?
Doesn't that mean that you give it back to the bank or something?
The courts. I mean, it goes back to the state. Yes,
okay.
that's right. It goes back to the state, and the state decides, oh, and by the way, all the people that are running around, looking for plans like this and trying to get people's wealth, all the creditors come out of the woodwork, and you have a lot of people that try to jump on these assets. There's arguments with family members, there's fights. It is not pretty. So having an estate plan is of trust, rather, is the most important thing to protect your future and your family. Yeah, all the weirdos come out of the woodwork and try to get, because it's public record. It's public record, so anybody can claim your money. Say, oh, they owe me this much, or it's awful. So here we go again. You could spend your money now, you could save it for later, or you could pass it on. And I think a little bit of each is a good balance. Well, they like to shop, huh? So spend it, your income. How much additional income do you think you'll need? Is your additional income guaranteed for life? So, like I said in the beginning, I don't know. My crystal ball was foggy, so I left it at home.
Yeah.
But that's what the calculation and the plan is for. Save it. Growth. Will your assets be subject to market volatility? So the day before you retire, oops, I lost half of my estate. Like the friend of mine I was telling you about, it actually happened to him. So how much of your retirement could you afford to lose? I always ask people this question because what drives the market is greed and fear. We all love to have the maximum, but we're also scared that we might lose our money. So I tell people, when you put money in the market, make sure you can afford to lose it. And they go, what? I don't want to lose it. Well, when you go to Vegas, do they give you something in writing? This, you're going to be guaranteed to win? No, it's the same thing here. You could pass it on. You could build a legacy, pass it on to your children or your grandchildren if that's what you want. And where do we go from here? Well, proper planning takes a strong foundation. So basically, from the beginning, I was going to educate you. Those are my two outcomes. And if you like and you're interested with all the things that I just gave you, it's very, very direct to the point. You're welcome to have a 30-minute consultation with me. So you could talk to me about your own personal situation, because we can't do this in a group setting, of course. And I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and see what are your concerns, because everyone is different. So planning priorities, planning for emergencies, capital, but whatever your priorities are and your concerns are. Our process is about you. So if you schedule an appointment, I'll go to work for you, present my findings, and see where you could go from there. Do you have any questions at all? Anybody?
Do you personally do anything with living trusts, or do you like refer out, or how does that work?
I don't, Lisa, because I'm not an attorney. You have
Okay.
to be an attorney to do the living trust. But I do have someone, Valerie, that I love. She's amazing. She does a great job. She's in Orange County, but it doesn't matter. She works all over.
Okay.
And she's wonderful. If you needed someone, I'll be happy to refer her to you.
For sure. That sounds great. I really enjoyed these conversations, to be honest with you, because I do feel like a lot of people aren't prepared, or, maybe haven't thought about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, I think it's just great information to have, and to begin working as early as possible, like you said. So,
Yes, exactly. It's never too early, to start, regardless. And you guys work for a company, right? Home
yeah, Home
LA,
Again LA.
Home
Home
Again
Again.
LA.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I'm sure with companies that they offer a 401k for you guys and things like that.
No, nothing
They
like that.
don't?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, so it's not a big company. Is it
No, we're
small?
a very small nonprofit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Well, are you married or single?
Yeah, married.
Are you married? Yeah. Well, when people don't have 401ks that they contribute to, then you could start an IRA on your own, an IRA, and contribute every month to that, which I help a lot of people do. It's the same as a 401k. It's pre-tax dollars.
Yeah.
It helps you save, and it also helps with your tax situation. So you will deduct that from your income and you pay less taxes.
Okay,
Are you
understood.
doing anything like that now?
Yeah, so I do have a mutual funds account. I've had that for a couple years now.
Oh,
So
good.
so I've had that for a while. Just got a new place last year. So, that's why I was thinking about the whole living trusting, because we haven't done that yet.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And your husband, yeah, absolutely. Oh, you mean you bought a new home?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's imperative that you get a trust in place. Do you have children also?
No, no kids yet.
No, okay. So yeah, I mean, you know, we don't want anything to happen, but we don't know what life holds anyway. And once everything is in place, it's sealed tightly. Nobody's going to go in there and access any, they can't do anything. But it's one of those things that, people don't want to deal with. And I tell them it's a gap in your retirement plan, even though I don't do it, I always recommend that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
life insurance, that's another thing. People don't always have life insurance. And there's so many different kinds of life insurance today, There's whole life, there's term, which is less expensive, yeah.
Okay.
There's yeah.
I'm just writing stuff down. This is good.
Please do.
Thank you.
This was fun. Do
I
you have
have
a question?
question.
Yes.
When you were talking about the life term care, I believe you said you can get other things from it. What do you have like examples of what other things you can get from that?
Yes, of course. You mean a variable other than the long-term care policy?
Yes.
Yes, you could access long-term care income with life insurance. It's called a rider. You add a rider to it, and then
Mhm.
you can access the money. Or with annuities, you access a rider so you can accelerate the money. There's different ways to design a plan that will also give you an income stream when you retire or access the money for your care. They're
Okay.
really great plans. And to tell you the truth, I hardly ever sell long-term care policies anymore because they're standalone policies. So let's say you buy a policy and you pay $4,000 a year, and now you're 85 and you pass away in your sleep. Well, you've paid
Mhm.
all this money into it, which is okay, but the alternative, if you have life insurance with it, it could go to your heirs, it could go for long-term care, or it could even become tax-free income. There are some life insurance
Mm.
policies that gives you tax-free income, which is
Oh,
excellent.
oh, I didn't know that. That's good to
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said that's good to know. I didn't know that.
yeah, I love those policies. They're wonderful because I don't have children. I have a policy like that. I really did it for the income. And I thought,
Mhm.
well, if I don't use it all for the income, I could leave it for my family. So it covers 2 or 3 different things, which is
Mhm.
a better way to go, I think. And people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was great.
Yeah,
Hopefully we'll be in touch, Maria.
absolutely. You guys reach out to me if you want, and you can set up some time with me and we'll go over things. Or if you want me to give you Valerie's name, I will.
Okay.
Lisa?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Maria. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. You know, sometimes people, I have an audience of 30 people. It's easier in person. You know, it's a little harder on Zoom, but hey, it worked out fine. You could read the slides, no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
All
hope it
right.
helped.
Okay. All right. Well,
All right.
thank you so
Thank
much, Maria,
you.
for your time.
You're
Have a good night.
welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.